read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
Well, that was a question. Who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
Well, I'm only asking because the story was online, but that's okay.
Denzel Washington doesn't shy away from speaking his mind, whether it's about racism, woke culture, or political correctness. His unapologetic views cut through the noise and make people think twice. In a world where many are afraid to say what they really believe, Denzel stands out. Join us today as we dive into the moments where Denzel destroyed woke culture and shared some powerful truths.
Mr. Washington, you're here in D.C. during an interesting time with the transition in the White House. Just wondering who you wound up supporting in the election and why.
Go ahead now. Fences.
How about this? I don't know if you saw it. There's a fake news story going around. It got thousands of shares online. You saw that. And I just thought you might want to clear it up because people are confused.
There's a few words that start with F and end with K, but that one ends with E, but it starts with F.
Yeah, but just too vague. You got to be specific right now. F, K, and E.
What was the question?
Well, that was a question. Who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
Denzel Washington really put that interviewer in their place when he said, "None of your business" about who he voted for. It's amazing how some people think that they have the right to know someone else's political choices, especially a celebrity's. Denzel gets it. Your vote is personal, and it's rude to pry into that.
What issue do you hope President-elect Trump tackles? What's number one in your mind with the new administration?
I don't know. I'd have to be more informed to just say off the top of my head the number one issue. I'm not sure. Education, jobs, health. I mean, there's so many. Yeah.
I want to just ask you, though, about the issue of race relations, because the film touches upon that. Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, because I'm president, you all got to get along now.
He also made a great point about race relations. He emphasized that it's not about laws or who the president is. It's about how people treat each other. You can't force people to get along just because someone's in charge.
Where you talked about your people from Mount Vernon saying that, they've done 40 years in the penitentiary together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, and, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the
I think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, "Yeah, they're little yummies." I said, "Who?" He said, "Little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy." Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his fault?
Denzel Washington hits the nail on the head here. It's refreshing to hear someone so influential point out that the roots of issues like incarceration often start at home, not in some abstract system. People love to blame the system, but when kids grow up without fathers or positive role models, it sets them up for failure. It's not about making excuses. It's about taking responsibility for the choices we make in our own families.
The house. It starts in the home. And well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
Like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. but I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example.
Yeah.
And they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So I don't, the system is rigged, but why, all the more reason
Denzel's focus on personal accountability is a message we need to hear more often. He knows that while the system can be flawed, the real change happens when families step up and parents take their roles seriously.
So why did he need a black director? Could a white director not have?
It's not
produced this
color,
work?
it's culture.
Explain the difference, because I think we're
Steven
in a space
Spielberg
right
did Schindler's List.
now. Mm-hmm.
Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas, right? Steven Spielberg could direct Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese probably could have done a good job with Schindler's List, but they're cultural differences. You know, I know, you know, we all know what it is when a hot comb hits your hair on a Sunday morning, what it smells like.
Huh?
That's a cultural difference, not just a color difference. So it's the culture.
Denzel's right on point with this. People today love to jump straight to race, but it's about culture more than anything. A white director could absolutely make a good film with a black cast, but there is something deeper when a director actually shares the lived experiences of those characters.
The space that we're in, culture versus race, and how important it is, you know, where we are right now as a culture, as an American family. You're producing a film that's culturally germane to a particular time and a particular people. You know, even the Martin Luther King, JFK, Jesus trilogy, you know, triumvirate that was on the wall. We didn't have that on our wall, but our next door neighbor did. And that's what you're talking about.
I put that in there.
Huh? You did that?
Yeah, I
because
put
that was on your,
Jesus
was that on your
everywhere.
wall?
Okay,
You put
and that
Jesus
wasn't
everywhere?
our house. You know, and there was that velvet kind of paint. You know, they put that below, whatever they call that velvet.
Did you have it on your wall, Viola?
I didn't have nothing on my wall when I was growing up, but that's something else.
Stephen, was Jesus on your wall with JFK?
Some of the family members, but you know, but not JFK. I didn't have that.
The whole hot comb example he gave shows how little things in culture can have a big impact. Stuff that people outside of that culture just wouldn't fully understand. It's like saying you can study culture, but living in it brings a whole different level of authenticity. It's not about excluding anyone, but recognizing those differences that shape the stories being told.
There's been a lot of buzz about this fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh yeah, what'd they say? I was running for president? No, I
you
voted.
were running for-
No, what'd they say?
You switched your support.
I switched
from Hillary to Trump. What do you make of all the fake news and it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it.
Denzel nailed it here. The media today is more concerned with being the first to drop a story rather than making sure it's accurate. It's no wonder so many people don't trust them anymore. He's calling out exactly what's wrong with the system. They're more interested in clicks and headlines than the actual truth. And this rush to pump out stories, even if they're full of misinformation, just creates a society that's misinformed or totally disillusioned. It's about time that someone as big as Denzel said what most of us already know. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.